Over 2 million Americans visit the doctor every year for rotator cuff injuries, and most of them don't see it coming until the damage is already done. By the time shoulder pain shows up, your mobility is compromised, your strength has taken a hit, and even something as simple as reaching up to a shelf can feel like a full-body workout. Despite how important shoulder health is, it remains one of the most overlooked and misunderstood areas in fitness. That's exactly why I made this video. Whether you're someone who lifts weights, sits at a desk all day, or just wants to stay pain-free and active enough to play with your grandkids, these shoulder-saving exercises are essential. Trust me, skip them now, and you'll feel it later. And the last two moves, they'll challenge you more than you think, in the best way possible. But before we dive into the only 5 moves, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more practical fitness tips that actually work. And don't forget to like and share if you find this helpful. Let's get into it. At number 1, we have the overhead press. I get it. It's not flashy. But I stick with exercises that deliver real results, and the overhead press is one of them. This movement fires up your front and side delts, engages your rotator cuff, and demands full-body tension from your heels to your fingertips. It's not just a shoulder exercise, and it's a total body strength builder. But here's the most common mistake I see. People turn it into a back bend, not a press. If your ribs are flaring and your lower back is arching like a scared cat, you're not just leaking power. You're setting yourself up for back pain. Nail your form, stay tight, and press with purpose. Your spine will thank you. So, tuck your pelvis slightly and lock your glutes before the bar leaves your collarbone. This stacks your joints, meaning your wrist, elbow, shoulder, and hips in one vertical line, so you're not muscling it with your spine. But if you want strong, resilient shoulders, you can't skip this next move. I'm talking about lateral raises. Most compound lifts already target the front delts pretty aggressively, but the medial deltoid, the key muscle that gives your shoulder that rounded cannonball look, often doesn't get the attention it needs. When that muscle is underdeveloped, your entire shoulder system gets thrown off balance. Your overhead presses feel wobbly, your pushing strength suffers, and even your posture can collapse inward. That's where lateral raises come in. They isolate the exact muscle responsible for keeping your shoulders broad, stable, and injury-resistant. But here's the issue. Most people end up just swinging their arms around like a caffeinated seagull. To truly engage the medial delt without wrecking your shoulder joints, make sure you're raising your arms in the scapular plane, slightly forward, not directly out to the sides. Form matters more than weight. Dial it in, and your shoulders will thank you. That's about 30 degrees forward where your shoulder moves naturally. If you go too wide, you're just grinding bone on bone. Also, lock your scapula down before you lift. You don't want to shrug it up. You need to keep tension in the delt, not the trap. And here's a pro move. Use a 2-second raise. Pause just under shoulder height, then control the eccentric. That's where hypertrophy lives, aka in the fight on the way down. And yeah, you don't need a big weight. A controlled lateral raise with a lower weight will torch your delts more than a sloppy swing. Now here's another classic shoulder exercise. Front raises. I chose this one for a reason, because for most people, the front delts are constantly overactive but seriously undertrained in isolation. They're always firing. During pressing movements, carries, and even when you're slouching at your desk. But here's the truth. Just because a muscle is overused doesn't mean it's strong. In fact, most people have almost no isolated strength in their anterior delts. And that's a big problem. Weak, unstable front delts can throw off your overhead lifts, pull your shoulders forward, and even lead to neck tension you might chalk up to stress. Worse still, fatigue in the anterior delts is one of the leading predictors of poor posture, especially in adults over 50. So if you're ignoring this muscle, you're not just missing strength. You're compromising stability, posture, and performance. Well, front raises build controlled anterior strength and restore balance between the front and back of your shoulder. They also reinforce motor patterns that carry into real life, like reaching, bracing, and lifting objects forward with control. Now, you're probably wondering how to do them correctly. Here's a tip I learned from years of training. Use a weight plate, not dumbbells, and keep your thumbs slightly higher than your pinkies on the way up. That internal rotation bias mimics real shoulder mechanics and keeps tension where it belongs. Also, stop just above shoulder height because going higher turns it into a trap move, not a delt one. And keep your rib cage down. I don't want to see you leaning back like you're saluting the sun. If your hips are helping, you're not training your delts. You're more likely auditioning for a kettlebell swing. Now, the last shoulder exercise in this routine is reverse flies. If you ever sit, scroll, type, or drive, this one's mandatory. By the way, that's my attempt at humor because I know we all do this. That aside, let me tell you how important your rear delts are. When they're weak, your shoulder joint starts spiraling, literally. What happens when internal rotation takes over? You start to lose postural control, and every pressing or pulling movement becomes rough, more of a grind than a glide. That's where reverse flies come in. This exercise reinforces scapular retraction, pulling your shoulder blades back and together, which is key for maintaining a strong, stable upper body. At the same time, reverse flies isolate the rear delts with just the right amount of resistance to stimulate growth without causing irritation. To really benefit, go light on the weights and high on the reps. Remember, your rear delts are endurance-based stabilizers, not big movers like your biceps, so they respond best to volume and control. If you're using 25-pound dumbbells and can't hold a squeeze at the top, you're using your traps. Also, do a quick form check. Hinge from your hips with a flat back, just like you're doing a deadlift, and keep a micro bend in your elbows. Now, the most important thing here is to lead with your elbows, not your hands, and don't let the weights fly past your shoulders. At the top, squeeze your shoulder blades like you're crushing a credit card between them. Then lower with control. Now, here's a genuinely awesome move. Try reverse flies on an inclined bench because it takes momentum out of the equation and makes your rear delts do all the work. And if you want to level up even more, add a 1-second hold at peak contraction. And there you have it, 4 exercises your shoulders genuinely need. These moves aren't trendy or flashy, but they actually work. They build the kind of strength that shows up in real life, the kind that lets you lift, reach, carry, and train without pain, even as the years stack up. Remember, it takes time and patience to make new habits be nice to yourself and celebrate every little win. But now it's your turn. Do you include these exercises in your daily routine? What changes have you noticed? Now tell us in the comments. Do you already do these exercises? How often do you do them? Tell us about what it's been like for you. We'd love to know, and it might help other people. And if this video helped you in any way, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more real science-backed fitness content every week.